teammate and a plane parachuting to safety after losing power just seconds after takeoff. Our I-team spent the day at the crash site gathering new details since we broke this story on News 8 at daybreak and online. Law enforcement say the pilot is not injured.
And I-teammates Richard Essex talked to an eyewitness who thought the plane was heading for a different kind of disaster.
The plane is registered to a company out of Delaware. Earlier this week, the plane had been to Chicago, flown to Indianapolis, and today it was supposed to head for Florida. But the first flight barely made it a mile before it ended up in a pond.
And I'm like, this plane is falling out the sky. And he looked at me, and I'm like, no, it's really falling. And we stood there and watched it, and I'm like, oh, no, it's really falling out the sky.
The Hancock County Sheriff's Department identified the pilot as Timothy Borup, 54, from Palm Bay, Florida. He told police he had just taken off from the Indianapolis Regional Airport on his way to Florida. He was just seconds into his flight when Ashley McFarland had just gotten out of her car. She noticed the plane was headed in the wrong direction. McFarland watched with bated breath as the small jet silently headed towards the ground. Just when she thought the plane was headed for certain disaster, a parachute emerged.
It was the biggest parachute I ever saw in my life. And I'm like, how is it going to slow this plane down? And it stopped him. It slowed him down, but I'm like, it was coming too fast. And by the time I got close to the ground, the red parachute came out, and it just landed. We didn't hear a boom, so I'm like, where'd the plane go? And it was in the water.
She had to see what happened to the plane and the pilot. She got back in her car and went looking for the plane, which she found.
Because you didn't hear a boom, you didn't see fire, you didn't see a cloud. And I'm like, I know, I just literally watched a plane fall out the sky, so where is it? And drove down, and I beat the fire truck and everybody, and he was in the water.
When she got to the crash, the pilot was already out of the plane. My teammate is told the pilot refused any medical attention. Borup told police he was trying to gain altitude when his plane began to sputter and stall. He activated the jet's emergency system, and the parachute deployed, and the jet with Borup inside slowly glided back to Earth. The pilot was uninjured and only had wet feet from walking out of the pond. According to an FAA database, the plane was manufactured by Cirrus in 2020. There will be a separate investigation by the FAA and the NTSB to determine the cause of the crash. In Hancock County, Richard Essex, Wish TV, I-Team 8.